These behind you are typical breeding boxes. You can see there's still one pair of birds left in there. Movement of water, it keeps the bacteria from forming inside.
Do you give them baths too? Like
Every day.
every day? Oh.
You see right there.
Every day they get a bath.
There's the bath.
Okay.
And then at nighttime, the feeders and the grit are put up at night so that we don't have any rats or cockroaches or any vermin. And one of the things that we want to do is control the humidity in here very carefully, and that's what we use these outside windows for. The purple material is called potassium permanganate.
Potassium. Oh.
This is a small hospital, if you want to call it that, where we can take care of any small injuries that the birds have every day. Food that's not eaten is microwaved.
Oh, okay.
So that you kill any bacteria or any I suppose mold that might be on it. The basis of success with pigeons is to make sure that you've given them every opportunity and that they're not fighting disease in the loft.
Okay.
That's been one of the problems with pigeons over the years, is there's been too much emphasis placed on breeding from pedigrees.
Yeah.
The Kleine Figo bred Cannibal and Kirkdoof, those were two pigeons that he bred. And Jennifer purchased Kleine Figo. We tend to line breed the birds.
Yeah.
Which I tend to think also makes most sense.
Okay.
This, I think, was the secret of the Janssen brothers and the secret of Paul Durdin from France, and many of the old masters from the turn of the century, last century. That is the last of all of the pigeons that Jennifer brought over from that breeding that Josh did. She is a 2010 hen. And she's not breeding anymore, but she wants. This is a most important thing to pay attention to. Make sure they always have good, clean, quality grit. So I always advise new beginners, build yourself a secondary entry catch box so that the pigeons can't get out of that first door and be gone.
Very cool.
So we look for nice type of bird. We want nice, sleek pigeons, strong back birds. But it doesn't matter how well they may look or feel, unless they have done well in one loft races. They're not used for breeding in our loft. Premier thing to do when you start off in pigeons is to make sure that you have reasonably good facility to keep the bird. I don't know that there's anything better than trying to make sure that the health of your birds is kept at the highest level. And if the birds aren't healthy, don't breed them, because you won't breed quality babies from them and do any good. I think it's always wonderful to get to meet nice people, and that's been my greatest joy, is having had the opportunity to know and visit with a lot of very well-educated in Pigeons and other areas people. That's been my biggest thrill in it.
For those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself and give us a brief introduction of how you got started in pigeons?
Well, my name is George Rankin. I was born in Scotland in 1936, started pigeons in 1948, and kept them until I went to college. In college, I had them for 25 years, got out of pigeons to start a business, kept thinking of going back to pigeons, and did so when I got close to retirement age, which was 20 years ago. And since then, I've been very strongly involved in raising, breeding, flying pigeons. I'll let you do the elevator now, Bill.
Oh, wow. Come on, guys. The elevator.
Ja, de lifting. we call lifting. We have lifting in here, also lifting upstairs to bring the feet.
Oh yeah, heavy, yeah.
Things, yeah.
So how
So
long?
the workers are very happy.
Oh, you guys have
Yes.
workers here too?
Yeah, we have.
How long have you guys lived here in this place?
We live here 15 years.
15 years? Okay.
Are we here 15 years now? 2006. 2006 is start living here. Yeah. Okay, you can go out now.
Wow. Whoa. This is amazing. So do you guys always have this music on? Does it help with the birds?
We have music playing, but we don't leave it on all the time. We only put it on while we're working here, or we have people that come and help us. They like to hear the music. It makes life a little more comfortable for them, but the pigeons don't seem to mind it. They're not bothered by the music at all.
It's very calming too with the music.
Yeah, they seem to like it.
Yeah.
But we've noticed that they don't even notice it.
Oh, they don't notice it?
We don't think
they know that, of course. Every morning when I turn, everybody gonna knowing we're here.
Yeah, well, I know starting the day when we began. The idea was to have a facility where when it rained or it was unpleasant outside, you would have a pleasant environment inside. So I built this 24 feet wide with a passage down the center, and then end to end, which is 160 feet, we have compartments for breeders and for stock birds and young birds, that sort of division that you need during a season. So there are 24 compartments on total loft lengths. And at this time, we're just finishing up the breeding season, as you'll see. There's still a few birds in the boxes, but by and large, we've already ended the breeding season, and we're shutting down at the moment.
We're just about to shutting down.
We're just at the
today, a little one.
Oh, you got a little one today. Yeah, excellent.
So do you guys, is this, can you guys close this, and do you guys have a heat in here?
Yeah.
Or okay.
We can close everything and
and
make it very comfortable. You see, it's all insulated and climate controlled. And on either side, we have doors that open and close and can be regulated to control the amount of air that we allow to flow into and across and out of the loft. It's all reasonably well engineered for that purpose. And as you see, the ceilings are high, and we have ventilation along the top, which we can open at different times of the year to make sure that we have a nice air environment for the birds.
Okay. How do you access up there to open it? Do you just, your worker just climb up there to open those?
Yeah, well, you can get up here. There's a ladder that takes you up, and you go on the top and do it by hand. Or actually, I've found a way to open and close those with a pole from downstairs. Okay. But that's not a big issue. And we don't open and close them too often.
Okay. Wow.
These behind you are typical breeding boxes. You can see there's still one pair of birds left in there. But all of the pairs are shut down now and pushed back into the winter and molting season compartments.
So how many do you usually have in here? Is it
there's a total of 8 boxes in each 12-foot by 6-foot section.
So you have 8 in there when you breed?
8 pairs in each section.
All right.
And there are 10 sections that have breeding boxes in them, so we can have 80 pairs going at one time.
Oh, damn. And I see you guys have like a watering system right here too,
This is a watering system that I designed that keeps fresh water coming all the time.
It's a drip system,
and
right?
It has a drain system that goes out to the pond where you saw the fish and the ducks when you came in. And this is very simple. Once a day, when I come in, I shut it off. And it's about time to do this anyhow. So I pick this up and dump it
Okay.
And then this one is quite clean. I will possibly use this again today,
Okay.
but I have a spare set of these, which every day we take them and we soak them in bleach,
Soak and bleach.
and then we replace them normally every day, and then rapid fill it and set it so that it just drips a little all day long and keeps it fresh all the time.
So
And with that movement of water, it keeps the bacteria from forming inside.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So, well, it does. It not completely. You still get biofilm on the inside of the container, but you tend to keep a lot of the material that would generate potential diseases out of the water. And that's a very important thing. We have our own water wells, so we don't have any chlorine in the water.
Yeah.
And that is a very important thing
The
you're raising and racing pigeons, to make sure that you control or eliminate, if you possibly can, chlorine in the water.
So the well water, is it filtered too, or just regular well water?
Well, it's filtered, of course.
Okay.
We drink the same water. Our total system in this house is all from well water.
Okay.
But it's a very deep well, and water is very...
This is super cool.
So we'll go out in a compartment here, and you can see what the loft looks like on the outside. If you notice, all the floors are grid floors.
Yeah.
And they're scraped every day.
Every day?
Every day they're cleaned. 7 days a week. We have some people come and help us keep it clean now, because Jennifer and I are a little past that point where we can do it comfortably.
You want me to open this for you? Wow.
And this just when I used to race, I opened these doors,
and you let them out.
The birds flew in, and then I had this covered so that the birds couldn't go straight back there, and this whole area was open, and I had my electronic traps over here.
Oh.
But I don't fly local races anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't even allow pigeons out anymore because of the hawks. Were a big problem. So we never let pigeons outside. But these birds were just recently taken out of the nest boxes, and they're a little nervous and anxious because of the recent separation from their mates and their boxes.
These are cocks, right?
Yes, these are all.
Looks like it.
These are all cocks.
And do you give them baths too, like
every day?
Every day? Oh.
Yeah, you see right there.
Every day they get a bath.
There's the bath, and this is how we fill it.
Wow.
We have a system of we'll put the bath down.
Wow. Oh.
I've never seen them so nervous. And that's we allow them a bath every day if they'll take it.
Every day, okay. Does that do you think that's very important to give them a bath every day?
I'm not sure how important it is, but the birds like it.
Yeah.
But they don't go in every day. But we'll let them go in if they want to. And then if they don't, we just throw the water out, and the water goes to the ground outside.
Okay.
But when I say every day, when I'm here, I tend to do it. But when Jennifer's managing with the help that we've got, they may not do it every day now. I don't know. But I used to do it every day.
I see.
But I'm not here every day anymore, so I can't tell. Important things that we do is like this is the feed, and this is the grit here. And of course, for pigeons, I don't know how careful you are with the grit, but this is one of the most important things for quality, performance, and health of pigeons, to make sure that every day they get nice fresh grit.
Okay.
So we add some grit in, and this type of vessel makes sure that you don't get too much dirt inside the grit.
Okay.
And then at nighttime, the feeders and the grit are put up at night so that we don't have any rats or cockroaches or any vermin in there. And then first thing in the morning, we come in, we take these down, and then The old feed is taken out every day. There's never any feed left. That's removed at night time, and fresh feed is added every morning.
Do you give them all they can eat?
Well, at the moment with these ones, because of their condition,
Okay.
we tend to put a little more food in than they need, and then later on in the morning, we'll come around and pick this up, and then again at nighttime, we'll come back, and depending on the weather and the temperature, we'll give them a little more food if they want to eat it at night.
Okay.
But we put new grit in at night around 4 o'clock, and then we'll sometimes add some feed. But we don't believe ever in keeping them starving and hungry. We think that's wholly unnecessary in order to have good birds, good breeders, and good flyers.
Okay.
A lot of people think you have to feed them exact amount of food.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I give my birds all they can eat usually.
That's a nice thing to do for them, and they will reward you for doing that more than starving them. If you keep them too hungry, they're too likely to get diseased and be a problem that way.
Wow.
So these type of things here are grits. You know, you can buy all. I don't know if you buy this sort of stuff or not, but
I don't. I just buy the all-in-one and big bag.
All-in-one, that's good enough. Probably good enough. But we add this in to help the babies a little bit. It's got minerals, and I don't think there's any vitamin in that, but there's a lot of good mineral for bringing the babies on.
Do you guys use pink powder too, or the pink powder?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You see down in the corner.
Oh
there.
yeah.
We have those, and we add different calcium amounts into the pink powder. We do a mix-up of all of that.
Okay.
But you can see here's how, again, there's another aviary on the outside.
Yeah.
And wintertime we keep that closed. We can always have this hole for back and forth. But there's a wonderful aviary out there on the outside for the birds to be in.
So winter you close the big door and you leave the small...
Small one is left open, except in really cold weather, we have a cover for that, so we don't have the cold air coming in during the coldest periods. But Houston doesn't have so much cold weather.
Yeah. And you guys can cover the bottom too, right? So wind don't come through, or do you guys leave it?
Oh, there are windows on the bottom that we open up. They're partially open, but mostly closed still. But in the summertime, that whole area downstairs is open. And it has cross flows. You notice we have a little water down there right now from this dripper overflowing. But one of the things that we want to do is control the humidity in here very carefully, and that's what we use these outside windows for, and end doors. We allow air to flow through and try to keep it as dry as possible.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's very big down here is the humidity and moisture.
Humidity is a big problem for pigeons in Houston,
Yeah. So this is your whole breeding facility?
This is everything, breeding facility. No racing anymore. I keep telling you that when I came here first, I raced, but the club racing is too problematic.
Yeah.
One loft racing is the way of the future, I think, in pigeon racing.
Yeah, I also think that too.
And we participate in, we send birds every year to 30 to 40 races. So we breed about 300 babies, and we send them off and enjoy our pigeons flying them in the one loft races. These are babies down here that are about ready to go. And come on in, you can see these. These ones will actually, a lot of them we're going to leave tomorrow. We have we have 10 or 12 boxes of birds being shipped out tomorrow. And
so do you think weaning them this young is okay?
Sorry?
Do you think weaning them this young is okay?
Oh, yes.
Because I also wean them pretty young too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, a lot of people have different ideas.
Yeah.
Some people I know in Belgium wean them when they're just almost able to stand out of the nest, and they put them on the floor, and they put all those babies together and allow the cocks to go down and feed whichever baby needs feeding. I'm not sure I like that idea. My good friend in Belgium, Josh Tonnet, does that.
Uh-huh.
He thinks is good for the babies. On the other hand, our experience is if you leave them till about that age,
Uh-huh.
until they're sure that they can eat by themselves, then they don't have a day or two where they're stressed by not eating. They know straight away
Okay.
how to go get some food. So you eliminate that stress on the babies when you
Okay.
bring them down and transfer them if they're a little older.
Okay.
And these ones have already been taught to drink. First thing Jennifer does with them is that she spends the first day they're like this and dips her head in there so that they know that's where they get water.
Okay.
And it's sometimes very interesting for us to see these babies. There'll be a whole batch of them all laying around the drinker, all trying to get to the drinking.
Yeah, sometimes they try to bath in the drinker too.
Yeah.
Today they're supposed to have a bath. And tomorrow I ship them over 20 birds.
Wow.
This is what they like, though. They like to get out like this in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the same water system right there with the constant dripping water, and the bath system is also used in here. Jennifer likes to give these babies a lot of baths. Some people say don't give the babies baths, but we let them go in the bath as soon as they're able to find their way to jump over the edge of the bath and get in the water.
Okay.
But these are, as you can see, very healthy. That's the main thing with babies, is to make sure that when you get them out, they don't stress and they don't become unhealthy, even for a few days. I think that makes a big difference when you send off to one loft. They've got to be very strong and very capable of taking care of themselves, because you send off to a loft with 400 or 500 pigeons that only feeds a certain amount of feed, and they don't know how to scramble for food.
I need to give them baths.
See, there she is. That's the bath. We put
the purple stuff?
Yeah, which is called the purple material is called potassium permanganate.
Potassium. Oh.
Yeah. And it's something that I've used all my life. I was brought up in Scotland and had pigeons there, and we used to use potassium permanganate many years ago.
Okay.
And it's very good for killing the lice.
Okay.
But today, there's a new product on the market called Stop Mite, which is sold by Seagulls. And it's a powder. It comes from Europe also. And you don't really need this so much anymore, because the Stop Mite kills everything on the pigeons, the lice and the pigeon flies. Nothing bothers the birds anymore. And I don't know if you've seen that product or not, but we think it is the greatest product that's come along for pigeons.
Okay.
If you put a little in the nest, there's never any bother in the nest. And when they're babies like this, you won't find any lice on them at all.
Wow.
And so you were talking about the pink stuff. We also mix some Stop Mite in with the pink stuff, so every day when they get their grit, some of that Stop Mite is on there, and they're always getting in their system.
So they
it keeps them completely free of all the parasites, external parasites.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's called STOPMITE, and Ed Menville sells it at the Seagulls Pigeon Supply Store.
So you add that into the grit for them to eat?
I mix it in with the grit so that make sure they get some on it. And occasionally we'll add a little bit in the feed also. We have a system of mixing stuff on the feed to make sure that they get additional protein, and we also might add some Stop Mite in that, just to make sure they've got it in their system. It keeps all of the birds, the old birds and the young birds, none of them have any parasites on them.
Do you just add it once, or is it like a scheduled thing, like we add it each week?
All the time, just a very small amount.
Okay.
Each day I have it on something.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah. It's good for your birds. Oh, watch your feet now, there's a baby behind you.
Be careful, guys. Yeah.
This is a small hospital, if you want to call it that,
Uh-huh.
where we can take care of any small injuries that the birds have, and then we have a place here for taking pictures.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while since I did this, but we put the birds in, and then Jennifer takes her photographs in here.
And that's a circle to turn the bird
You
around?
can turn them around with this.
Okay.
I've forgotten how to do it.
It's okay. Very nice. And the microwave, do you guys heat anything, or is it just for you guys to use?
At nighttime, I told you we pick up all the food.
Uh-huh.
So we bring everything that's picked up, and we put it in here. And every day, food that's not eaten is microwaved.
Oh, okay.
So that you kill any bacteria or any I suppose mold that might be on it.
Because they're cold. I go downstairs.
Okay, honey. And then this gets cycled back into the regular feed, and I'll show you the feed room here in a second.
So the food they don't eat, you put it in the microwave to heat it up, and you reuse it again.
Try to.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't eat it all. Yeah.
They don't. You can see what they like. This is what's left at the end of every day, and it's such a waste to waste it. And we don't like to starve them, like I said. So we try to recycle it, and they do eat some of it. And eventually we reach a point where we have so much of this that we have to discard it. But it's a shame that when pigeon feed is mixed by the suppliers of the feed, they don't recognize how much peas are wasted. Pigeons don't like white peas, so they'll always leave them.
So how long do you microwave them for?
You have to be careful. You can't overdo it. But on that particular microwave, I have settled on 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
And at 7 minutes, this becomes very hot.
Yeah.
And so the heat kills off the mold and kills off any pathogens that they might have picked up while the feed was out. So I'll show you what I do with it when I finish it.
This is your storage room for feed?
And this is the feed and supplies room. And this is my, I call it junk bucket. And then every day I add this in. But you'll also notice that on this there's a lot of powdered stuff, and that's like materials that I buy to mix in with the feed. And I like to reuse that because that's all good feed for the pigeons when they get that on there. So this I take it and I mix other grains in with this, and I boost the desirability to eat it, but they still don't ever eat those peas. But then every day I have all these drums all made up. Like this is my mix that I make up myself, and this is what the birds are feeding on at the moment for breeding purposes. And so we have feed that we give to the breeders, and then there's feed that these type of feeds here are given. Well, this is just about out. This is a feed that we give to the regular stock birds at the moment.
Okay.
It's an okay feed.
And you have an AC in here to keep the stuff.
Air conditioning keeps it cool in the summertime and keeps the flies out of the little weevils.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Yeah.
We have a lot of. There's the product I was telling you about.
Oh, that might.
That's what you need. Take a picture of that, and be sure if you're flying pigeons, see parasites, repels, insects. Just go ahead and take yourself a picture, but get that and start using it, and you'll be very grateful for it.
And you said this can be used in their food a little bit too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can put it in the food.
Okay.
But not much. You just sprinkle
a little bit.
Of it.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody has quantified exactly the right amount to put any place, but you don't want to overdo it or make it too little also.
So do you guys give natural herbs and stuff for them too?
Oh, Jennifer is a medical doctor in China.
Oh,
She went to medical school in
yeah.
China, and she learned both Chinese medicine and Western medicine. So many years ago, when we were starting together with the pigeons, she said, well, why don't we try some of these medications that she used in China, and it works quite well. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they do, but she picks them up and we mix them in with the feed when we're
Okay.
getting ready to,
Yeah. Because I use
especially for breeding.
I use some natural stuff too, like ginger
Oh, yeah.
and garlic and stuff like that in the water.
Sure.
Yeah.
All of those are good things. See,
Yeah.
here's some more Chinese stuff right here that she likes.
So you
all of these small things add up to being what makes the difference when you send the birds away. If they've got that even 1% extra boost from the care that you give them, feeding them, that shows up when they're racing.
Okay.
Every little thing counts.
All right.
And that's, I think, the basis of success with pigeons is to make sure that you've given them every opportunity and that they're not fighting disease in the loft.
Okay.
All of these birds in this compartment, let's go. There are about 80 cocks and hens in here, which came back from last year's one loft races. All of these birds in here performed quite well, and that is one of the aspects that we look at, is we want to send them to one loft and then only bring back the top performing pigeons.
Yeah.
And from those we select our breeding stock, and we only breed from birds that have had success in multiple races. Even if a bird only won a one loft race one time, he's not automatically going to be a breeder.
Okay.
Unless he has flown consistently and been at the top consistently, he won't be considered to be a breeder. Not all of these birds were number one, but a lot of these pigeons in here flew very well consistently.
Yeah, very consistent.
And they will be considered as breeders.
Okay.
For next year. Come on in, you can see.
So you select them, once they come back, you select them based off of performance?
Performance,
okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what they're off of, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, that's been one of the problems with pigeons over the years, is there's been too much emphasis placed on breeding from pedigrees instead of breeding from performance. Pedigree is lovely. But if it doesn't have the performance, you have to be very careful about introducing it into your pigeons when you breed them.
Okay.
We tend to line breed the birds,
which
I tend to think also makes most sense, as opposed to outcrossing. Even champion birds cross together. You're not going to do as well as you will do if you are consistently breeding a line of birds that have been top performers that have been bred together.
Okay.
This, I think, was the secret of the Janssen brothers and the secret of Paul Durdin from France, and many of the old masters from the turn of the century, last century, Stazert and Weggy, those type of people all tended to breed from a family. They kept a family going.
Yeah, I kind of see Gabby do something like that too.
Yes, Gabby Van den Heuvel. I knew Gabby very well myself. I visited with him many times in Belgium. And he and Joss Denet were good friends. And I got a lot of pigeons from both Gabby and from Joss. I tended initially to work most with Joss's birds. And while I like him very much, and he's a dear friend, the greatest successes have all come from the Van den Heuvel pigeons. And a lot of these pigeons here, even Kleine Figo, Kleine Figo doesn't have exactly Van den Ebel, but it has the same line of de Roche Sablon pigeons that produced a lot of Gabby's winners, even. Same families.
So I was doing some research, right? Is the Figo the same as Cannibal too?
No,
Oh, they're not?
that
It's a different one?
yeah, well, no. The Kleine Figo bred Cannibal and Kirkdoof. Those were two pigeons that he bred. And Jennifer purchased Kleine Figo, and she left him in Belgium. And our friend Jostenet bull bred Kleine Figo to all of his top hens. And then we got, I think Jennifer might have brought back about 20 babies bred from all of the bull-bred hens with Kleine Figo. And our whole line is fundamentally focused now on the Kleine Figo pigeons.
Yeah, I noticed that.
If you come here a second, I'll show you something that's quite interesting. You see the white bird on the floor right there? That is the last of all of the pigeons that Jennifer brought over from that breeding that Josh did. She is a 2010 hen, and she's not breeding anymore, but she wants to breed. And the reason she's sitting there is she knows there's cocks in here, and she wants to get in. That side has only got hens, and she is kind of heartbroken that she can't get in with the cocks. But she's like 15 years old now.
Oh, 15 years old.
14, 15, yeah. But she is out of a very famous bird that Josh had. And a lot of our pigeons you'll see have got grizzle. She's basically a grizzle, mostly white.
Yeah, I have some Figos too myself, and I've always been a fan of them. And they just, something about them look nice, and they fly good, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
And they're, do you think they're speed birds, or are the Figo speed birds? Like, are they like short distance?
No. They're one-day flyers, like 10-hour, 12-hour flyers. Okay. They're not long-distance pigeons like we used to breed 100 years ago. They're entirely different type of pigeon altogether. You know, when I was a kid and had birds, we had a pigeon that would fly for 16 hours to get up to Scotland, but they were different in type, different altogether. And then Durdan and the Jansons came along with this new type of pigeon that they developed back in the early 60s and 70s. And these birds are very different from what they were, say, 60, 80 years ago.
Okay. Because I know the Figo won a lot of first place, right? D Figo. Yeah, and it looked like...
well, D Figo is the brother of Klein.
Yeah, Klein Figo. Yeah, so I thought they were like fast birds, but they can do long...
Fast meaning, up to 300-400 miles. They'll stay up for 10 hours and give you a good 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
But they're not going to fly 500 and 600 miles, I don't think. I never tried them. I never did that to them. But I'm only interested in one-day races anyhow. I hate those two-day race programs. It's foolishness to think that you can send a bird that has to sleep out and not be attacked by predators or sit in the rain or the cold, and then he's got to get up first thing in the morning and fly. The ones that usually win those kind of races are the ones that a cat chases off the roof, I think, in the morning.
Yeah. 2-day race are not that good because you don't know what the birds are doing the next day.
I don't like that in racing. When you're required to stay out overnight, you never know what's going to happen to them. It's pure luck after that.
Yeah. So I see you have some metal wires for them to perch up here, right?
Yeah, that was a design that I came up with so that when they sit there, and their droppings don't fall on each other.
Yeah.
And also the droppings go to the outside so that we don't have to scrape so much droppings every day. But the birds love that type of setup where they can all get up there and fight with each other a little bit for a place. So these are all I think I told you, these are all birds that came back from 2023
Yeah.
one loft races. Every bird in there flew well, or he wouldn't come back. We don't bring them all back. We just bring back the ones that are the consistent flyer.
Yeah.
But the big problem now is you bring back 80 each year. What do you do with the ones that you've got? So
Yeah.
Jennifer recently has decided, rather than just get rid of them as we were doing, she started advertising them on, I think it's called Best Pigeon.
Oh yeah, I saw some of your birds on auction.
She has sold some really awesome birds, and I don't know if people realize, but you know, we won the most number of first places and second places over 10 years in the Win Companion results. We were the top loft, and in that for 10 years straight. We were 5 times number one and 5 times number two. And so when we send to 30 or 40 lofts, we get a lot of those quality birds come back. We can't breed them all.
Yeah.
So rather than getting rid of them, she's now found that people like to buy them. And it's kind of interesting. We're waiting to see what happens when people get those birds, because they're all basically now for 10 or 15 years line-bred flying Figo pigeons.
Yeah.
We have people locally who started buying them, and we sent some locally last year to the Texas Center Convention race, and we had one win that race for us. He's in this group here. He came back, and he's in here. And then just last week, another one that we sent that didn't win won the association 400-mile race. Guy called us up to tell us that they had won the race for him. So they do well up to 400 miles when they can get home on a day, like 1,400 yard, 1,500 yard races.
Okay.
The kitchen.
Yeah.
But it's more or less a pigeon kitchen. We keep some pigeon supplies in here.
Peanuts.
Probiotics. Do you use probiotics, incidentally? Probiotic.
Oh, I use probiotics.
You do?
Yeah.
Which one do you use?
I use the ProBio.
Probiotics. Very good. Yeah, very good. This is one I buy here. I used to use probiotics, but that Primalac is very good. Okay. But they're all reasonably close together.
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference. Yeah, and there's some of the stuff that comes from Josh Tournay.
Yeah.
He has a company now, and he sells these types of things. He's got a distributor in Los Angeles that sells Josh Tournay products.
Okay. Yeah, I used to watch him a lot on YouTube. He has a very nice setup too.
Yeah.
So do you guys use honey for the birds too? Or
sorry?
Honey? Do you guys use honey for the birds?
Sometimes we put some honey in some of the...
Careful.
The stuff. And then this is a junk house, but we can do all our pedigrees and everything in here. We have we purchased from Josh Tournay his pedigree system when we started. And if you look at our website and look at the pedigrees, that all comes down from what we brought over from Josh 20 years ago.
Okay.
It's a good program. Very capable of giving us printout in Chinese and English.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping track of all of our breeding.
Okay.
Come on, we'll do one more thing. Yeah. These are grits that we bring in. I don't know how much grit you use, but as I mentioned very early on when we started speaking, this is the most important thing to pay attention to. Okay. Make sure they always have good, clean, quality grit.
Okay.
And then I found, it's just been my experience, that if you give it to them like in the evening, right before it's ready for time for them to go to rest and spend the night, they like to eat grit at that time. And I used to notice when I was flying birds that if you allowed them out around that time of night, especially when they had babies, they would always want to go to the fields and pick by that time. And they're looking for some of the I guess, the minerals that you get
Okay.
in the natural ground. So 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a pretty good time to give it
Okay,
to.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, that's just our habit.
I actually had my timer for 4 o'clock to feed my birds too.
Oh,
at
you
that time.
do.
Yeah.
That's a good time. Yes.
Yeah.
So do you feed once a day? Or?
I feed twice a day just to make sure, because the first feed they might eat, so I give them all they can eat, but they might pick out the grains they want, and then second one I just give
Just
another
like
one.
ours do, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, come on, go down here. One of the problems you have to be very careful with is making sure that you don't have rats and mice.
Yeah.
Where we are here, we have all these fields, and we have rats and mice and snakes. We have 6-foot snakes come, and this year we lost one baby.
Oh.
The snake got in, and he tried to swallow the baby, but he couldn't get it down, but he killed it, smothered it. Last year we had a bigger problem with the snakes, but they come in from the fields, and
Yeah.
the rats and the mice do too. So one of the things we try to make sure is that we always keep this place
Clean.
reasonably clear of, we don't let too much feed or dirt get on the floor, and the fellow who's up top, he cleans us every day for us.
Okay.
It's get swept clean every day. And then I have a drain system that we can wash it down and keep it clean. So we put in, disinfectant on the floors and keep it clean that way.
Okay. So do you disinfect with bleach on the floor?
Sorry?
Do you disinfect with bleach? Bleach?
No, I think I've forgotten what it is I buy.
Okay.
But actually, I think some of the stuff that I buy, I get it at Home Depot.
Oh, Home Depot.
And it's a very good disinfectant, general disinfectant. I've forgotten what they call it.
It's okay.
But I have a couple of rooms for keeping cleaning tools and things like that in. Downstairs. We don't want anything down here. We don't want any birds ever coming in this area.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you look, we've got right now just one window open.
Just one.
But
yeah.
as the summertime gets warmer, we open up all the windows on both sides into a complete flow of air underneath here, and it tends to also pull air down instead of having to rely on the air going up to get out. You can feel it on the doors at the end.
Yeah.
The draft that comes through the pigeon loft. It's not a draft. It's just a movement of air.
Okay.
Which is what you really want. You don't want wind blowing on it.
Yeah, that's something I'm still learning to figure out. Yeah, because I'm building my own lofts now. So I'm trying to learn how to make it better. Yeah.
Well, those are all things that over time you may have an opportunity to control and learn.
Yeah.
When I had my company, I had a pigeon loft at the company property, and I used to manufacture a lot of equipment, so I made all of these, and I used to have my whole loft made out of this stainless steel material.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful place. You could take a hose and wash it, and it would dry in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But this is a nice flooring system. It's actually used a lot in chicken farming.
Farms? Okay.
The chicken farms use this a lot for breeding their chickens, I guess, that they sell commercially.
Okay. I see.
Let me get the story. One of the things this is all designed for is that if a bird escapes, you don't want them getting away. And so many pigeon flyers learn the hard way that if you've got a loft with just one door and one entry, there'll come a day when the pigeon's going to go and you lose them.
I've had that before.
You've had it. So I always advise new beginners, build yourself a secondary entry catch box so that the pigeons can't get out of that first door and be gone.
Yeah, I've been thinking about building it too.
All you need is wire. You just need
just some wood and
some
wires.
wire.
Yeah.
And they can't get away, and that way you don't lose valuable pigeons, especially when flyers start, because they don't have them home to that place, and they're dealing with birds that flew to other lofts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can see where all those doors opened and the pigeons flew in. And if they wanted to, they could land on that roof and come in the doors. But most of the time when they were flying, they just come straight in.
Straight in.
It's a very good place for flying pigeons.
So, you know how this section, you have it tilted this way when it rains? You guys close the doors, right?
Well, yes, you do. And I always do anyhow. We always keep the doors closed.
Yeah.
But no, you could get rain in, but if you notice, it's a corridor area there, and if you get a little rain, it just goes down to the floor on the inside.
Okay.
But yeah,
super cool. So how long have you been in the how long have you been racing pigeons for?
Well, I'm 88 years old now, and my earliest memory of being in a pigeon loft was when I was 4 years old, and somebody handed me a bowl with 2 little babies in it, and I was hooked on pigeons for the rest of my life. My dad didn't have birds himself, but he had 2 very close friends, and he helped them with their pigeons. So I was always in a pigeon loft when I was quite small. And then when I was about 14, I decided to get my own loft. And I had a gentleman that lived close by that helped me get started, and I had a facility close to his facility, and he was my mentor and good friend all my life. So I started very early, and I came here to school when I was 21.
Okay.
And married, and I got pigeons in Houston in 1961 is when I started first with pigeons in Houston. But I started first with pigeons in 1948.
Wow. That's super long ago.
A long time ago. Pigeon keeping is a very satisfying sport in many ways. It allows you to learn and develop yourself, even from a business standpoint. And I attribute a lot of my good fortune in getting into business by having learned skills that you had to have in order to keep pigeons when I was young.
Yeah, like risk management, right?
Yeah, exactly. Risk management was part of it, and dealing with all of the ups and downs of life, really. You get exposed to that very quickly when you have racing pigeons.
Yeah.
These doors, as I mentioned to you, during a little warm-up, well, the wind is going in the wrong direction, but some days when you open it up, it's a very strong breeze comes through.
So depending on the wind direction, do you play around with the doors?
A little bit, but I don't do so much of that anymore. I let the wind take care of it by opening them all up.
All right.
And letting it blow whichever way it goes. And this is our home up here, and we have standalone generator set if we lose power, and we're independent of the electricity system.
Beautiful home. Oh, wow.
Now it's all built up, and there was nobody up here. Now the whole area is filled full of people, and then this area here is getting built up also. It won't be long before I have somebody next door to me, but when I came first, it was complete country.
I see.
And wonderful for pigeons and people, but it's amazing how Houston has grown in the last 15 years.
Yeah. So you always lived in Texas?
Yes, I came to the University of Houston, as I said, in 1958. I
Uh-huh.
was a track runner when I was a boy, and
Oh, track runner. Okay.
I did well in track in Scotland. And one day, I got a call from a person in America saying that they were looking for top runners to come as student athletes, and that they would give me a scholarship to go to school if I wanted to come. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. Anyhow, they had me come over, and I arrived in January of 1958, and I'd left Scotland when it was minus 20 degrees, and I came to
Wow.
Houston, and it was a day just about like this, and I never went back. I've been here ever since. Well, of course, I went back many times on business, but
Yeah.
I would never go back to live there again.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely place, and we truly enjoy it. Let's just walk around this way, and we'll go the whole circle.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it looks very nice. It's my first time ever seeing a huge house like this in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an honor to be here and meet you guys.
Well, we seldom do what we're doing with you, and most of the time we tell people that want to come that we prefer not to do that anymore. But for whatever reason, Jennifer decided that you would be the chosen person who got to come and visit us.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we're not so much interested in becoming famous anymore. We just want to quietly enjoy our birds and
Yeah.
breed them, and not be involved in the politics of pigeon flying. That's one of the bad things about it. Everybody has a different idea,
Yeah.
and they almost fight to the death to get their ideas accepted.
Yeah. So when was your first race in club?
When?
Yeah, when was the first race in club?
Oh, when I was in Scotland, I raced
Okay.
in club in those days, and that would be probably 1950, that period.
Okay. So what was your first family of birds?
Well, they were probably Stassert pigeons, which
Okay.
came from Stassert directly. Scotland had a very famous pigeon flyer that I got some birds from when I started, and that's what I worked with. Well, I had pigeons there. They were Stassert.
Okay, and then after that, then it was your client Figo?
No, no.
Oh, no?
After that, when I came here to school, I got first some birds from local flyers, and then later on I had a friend, Dr. Kenneth Warren, purchased some birds from Pierre Dordain in France, which were revolutionary as far as pigeons in the Houston area. They in those days flew races at 1,000 yards per minute, and these birds came in from France, and they flew 12 and 1,300 yards in the same conditions.
Wow.
And then after that, Dr. Warren purchased some birds that Mike Gannis brought in from Belgium, which happened to be the Jansen brothers pigeons, the early birds. And that would be around 1968. We first got the Jansen birds through Gannis and Dr. Warren, and I had those pigeons for a number of years, and they were revolutionary in this area. They outflew anything that had been around in Houston. Houston in the early 60 period had over 500 flyers in the city, and at that time it was a very small city. And when we brought these birds in, they were just utterly amazed at the performance.
Okay. So how did you decide to bring in the family that you have now? What made the decision for you to bring them in?
I had a business, and I traveled in Europe and visited with Jostenet and Van den Ebel and many other top European flyers. I used to go to the Eyre Camps place quite a lot when I went there on business trips.
Mm-hmm.
And I think out of my friendship with Jos Tournay, I've brought over 150 pigeons in one batch
Wow.
from him to start off with a loft around 2000 is when it
Okay.
started. Yeah.
That's when I was born.
Oh, is that right?
So how do you choose your matings for breeding?
Well, at,
Do
at,
you?
the, at this point in time, Jennifer is
Yeah.
basically doing all of the choices. I stepped aside to let her do that. And her background is medical, as I told you. She has a degree in medicine from Shanghai University. And she studied a little bit of genetics there.
Oh, okay.
And she likes to make choices based on the line of birds that she's breeding, not exactly on pure scientific genetics, but on line breeding of the birds. And for the last 10 or 15 years since we brought over the birds from Kleine Figo, she more or less has done all the choosing of the breeding pairs.
Okay. Is there any traits that you really look for or just results?
But, oh, of course, we look for a nice type of bird. We want nice, sleek
Uh-huh.
pigeons, strong back birds.
Strong back. Okay.
But it doesn't matter how well they may look or feel.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they have done well in one loft races, they're not used for breeding in our loft.
Okay. Do you think import birds are better than pigeons locally here, or are they the same?
Oh, I think if you look hard and long enough back into the pedigrees of all the birds that we have in the United States, nearly all of them have been imported
Yeah.
over the last 20 or 25 years. And in that regard, Mike Gannis has been the main importer of top birds that flew well in Europe. Mike goes over and buys all the top pigeons and then brings them here. And he has been instrumental in bringing a lot of great birds that have contributed to the improvement and the performance of pigeons, in my opinion, over the last 25 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Mike, I have high regard for him. Is a pigeon salesperson primarily.
Mm-hmm.
He buys the birds with the objective of breeding them and selling the babies. And that's great, and we're very happy for him that he's been successful doing that. But I don't think that all the birds that he brings and breeds together, even though they were champions, have produced as many great birds as they should have, or we had hoped they would.
Mm-hmm.
And that is perhaps because genetically pairing birds that had won races together doesn't guarantee that the babies are going to be winners.
Yeah.
There's something else needed in order to find the top flying pigeons.
Okay.
But Mike has made a great contribution to bringing a lot of great birds in, and so now they're spread all over
Yeah.
America, and nearly everybody has top birds that he has had a hand on bringing into the United States.
Yeah, I have one bird down from the Olympic what is it? 699, and off from the sherbet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that bird is pretty good for me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the 609 and the sherbet birds did come in from Mike, and then a fellow over in Las Vegas got the sherbet bird, and he was the one that actually proved up that that particular mating that Mike had put together have sprung off the line from sherbet.
Yeah. How do you select your young birds for one-off race? How do you select your young birds for one-off race? Do you look for anything particular, or do you just send all them off of your main breeders that you're focusing on?
No, you saw how we have the babies up there. They're bred as a group, and they come down usually in groups of 40 or 50 at a time, and then they're given a couple of weeks to mature, and then they're selected and sent off to one-loft races. But we don't sit and very discreetly pick a pigeon to go to a particular one-loft race, although we have learned that, for example, in California, where you have the mountain ranges and the desert, that very small, compact pigeons seem to do better on those locations than in some other locations. So we do think a little bit about the size and the type of the bird, but no, we don't spend a great deal of time. When it comes time to pick up 10 or 12 birds to go to a particular race, we look at the birds that are on the floor. They're all from the same time breeding period, and we just pick those and send them off and wait to see what happens.
Okay. So when you're breeding, do you foster eggs? Do you guys foster or pump eggs?
Quite a lot, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you guys switch matings when for like this year, let's say you have a pair and maybe you get like 4 rounds, do you swap the matings or keep them the same the whole year?
Well, a little of both. It depends, but we tend to find that if you have a pair that has bred a larger number than usual of good birds on a given year, and you put that pair together the next year, you may not get the same result when you send the babies to the one-loft races. So we don't know that that's very important, whether you keep the pair together or not, just so long as both the parents have high quality bloodlines and are from the same line-bred groups. We don't really worry too much about having to repair them again. We may swap them over, but we don't have a program of keeping birds together forever.
Okay.
That bred well one particular year.
All right. So, treatment. Do you what kind of treatment do you give your breeders before breeding?
Oh, usually the PMV vaccines.
PMV vaccine.
And those sort of things.
Do you treat them for canker or respiratory?
Of course. Canker treatments we give, but we don't medicate unless we absolutely have to.
Okay.
And if you keep the birds like we do, and very careful about tracking in diseases from other lofts, you don't have too much worry with health problems inside the loft. Our biggest problem is when we send the birds off to one-loft races and we bring them back, because those birds oftentimes come back with diseases that we don't know about, and then we have to be very careful about how long we quarantine those pigeons before we allow them to mix in with the rest of the birds. And we have a system for doing that. When birds come back from the race, they're usually kept 2 or 3 weeks and watched very carefully, and their droppings are looked at and analyzed, and we make sure that the bird is healthy enough to be introduced without bringing in some new viral strains or bacteria that we're not used to.
Okay, so if the breeders are healthy, or the birds you bring back from one-off race are healthy, you won't treat them?
Oh, they're given not strong treatments. They're segregated and watched very closely, and we rely to a great degree on how they look and feel, what the feather quality is, what the birds like, also which lofts they were in. We kind of know which people now in the one-loft racing game are better pigeon keepers than others are. And we eventually eliminate going to a lot of races. When the birds come back from those races and look particularly poor, we don't go back there again. We try to go to someone else who's a little more careful and concerned about the health of the birds.
Okay. So what is one advice that you can give to new people in the sport who wants to race in club or one-off race? New people in the sport.
Well, I think the premier thing to do when you start off in pigeons is to make sure that you have reasonably good facility to keep the birds. You can't start off with a small wooden box in the backyard and expect to keep pigeons at a high enough level to be competitive in those races. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a great big loft, but it has to be dry and well ventilated, and you must have good feed and good grit for the birds every day, and keep them from being exposed to too much cold wind or extremes of weather. Those are important factors. Learn how to keep vermin out of your feed and not have the birds contaminated with the droppings of rats or cockroaches, that sort of thing. But I don't know how to tell a person how to acquire all of the habits and the skills to keep the birds healthy. Like you saw what we have done with the water system.
Yeah.
We think that that's a very important area that many flyers overlook. They get one of these drinkers and they fill it up, and then a week later they go fill it up again. And in the meantime, the birds have been drinking out of it and passing on every possible pathogen that they've got in their bodies through the water to all the other birds. And those sort of things you learn to improve on as you go longer in the sport. In the beginning period, most pigeon flyers, I don't think, are even aware of the importance of those type of things.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's anything better than trying to make sure that the health of your birds is kept at the highest level. And if the birds aren't healthy, don't breed them, because you won't breed quality babies from them and do any good sending those off to either club or one loft races if they're not healthy when they're in the growing stages.
Okay. Was one of your favorite memories in the sport?
Oh, I don't know what I would say is a favorite memory. I think it's always wonderful to get to meet nice people, and that's been my greatest joy, is having had the opportunity to know and visit with a lot of very well-educated in Pigeons and other areas people. That's been my biggest thrill in it.
Okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Can you give some quick tips for beginners if they want to do better?
Take care of the pigeons.
Take care of the pigeons. Make sure they're at top health.
Of course, that's the key to the whole thing. If you drop down on the quality of care that you give them and let them get any kind of sickness at all, you can't expect them to try to go and fly for 10 or 12 hours and be good performers.
All right. Thank you, George.
You're welcome.